Welcome you all to my video lecture. Dear students, we are meeting after a long period, and the purpose of this first video, that is introductory video, is to introduce you to the 5th semester syllabus. And you all know that we are having 2 papers in 5th semester. Paper 1 which I deal is electricity, magnetism and electronics, and the second paper which you are going to study is modern physics, and it will be taught by Chakravarti sir. So, the main purpose of this video is to introduce the 5th semester syllabus. Introduce means I want to give you a overall idea, overall view, what is the entire syllabus and which you are going to study. All those things we will see in this video. Let us start. So, the title of the paper is Electricity, Magnetism and Electronics. So, this is the title of paper. So, basically we will deal with 2 fields, electric field and magnetic field, and this comprises of the first 3 units. First 3 units is for electricity and magnetism, and electronics is 4th and 5th unit. So, you all already know what are electric fields and what are magnetic fields, maybe from your 10th or intermediate onwards. But earlier you have studied this in one view, and now we will study all these things keeping in view electromagnetic induction and classical electrodynamics. And as you know, historically electric fields are, people thought that electric fields are different, magnetic fields are different, and optics is a different. That means light is not electromagnetic wave according to people say up to 17th or 18th century. The person who changed all these ideas, all these views is Maxwell. So, according to Maxwell, light wave is nothing but electromagnetic wave. So, in that sense, before Maxwell there are some contributions like Faraday, who actually famous with the flux terms. He introduced electric and magnetic flux. Then the electromagnetic induction, induced EMF, all those words coined by Faraday, and some experiments by Oersted, Hedge, all these people, they have contributed, and now what we study is because of all these great personalities. So, in this 5th semester we will deal electric and magnetic fields by giving priority to electromagnetic induction, or say let us define Fleming's left hand rule. The earlier definition rule or earlier introduction given to you in lower classes may be depending on pure magnetic or pure electric fields like that. But here whenever we have a chance, we will define the electric and magnetic field terms in electromagnetic induction view. Keeping electromagnetic induction we will define. That is the major difference which you face throughout the syllabus in 5th semester. Now, let us see one by one. One by one means actually we can divide again the entire syllabus into 2 broad divisions. Say electric and magnetism is first division and electronics is the second. So, electricity and magnetism again divided into 3 units. Electricity, magnetism again divided into 3 units, and all the 3 units are again subdivided into 2 topics, and then electronics is divided into 2. So, unit 1, unit 2, unit 1, unit 2 and unit 3. All 3 units come under electricity and magnetism. Finally, electronics, we are having 2 units, unit 4 and unit 5. So, let us discuss in detail what is unit 1, why unit 2, unit 3 and all. And again one more important thing which you have to remember is, for each unit again I will give some introduction and then we will go to the syllabus. So, directly we are not going into the syllabus, and actually you have to know before the start of the semester what is the syllabus. Syllabus I will put it in Google Classroom, the entire syllabus you can copy from that, or you can copy from university website. Then in each unit what are the topics that we will deal somewhat in detail, say an introduction to each unit later. That means for the all the 3 units I will give 3 introductions, maybe for 4th and 5th semester I will give 1 introduction. So, again at each topic or at each chapter level you will get all these introductions. Do not worry if you do not get some terms or maybe some concepts, do not worry, all are easy. If you spend some time it will be very interesting also, right. So, we will see in detail. So, in this introduction hour just we are introducing you, that is all. Do not worry if you get any doubts or any terms which are not you did not heard them, or you may feel maybe they are difficult. If you feel like that, do not worry, we will again see one by one, right. In unit 1 we are having again 2 topics. So, first one is actually electric field intensity and electric potential. Electric field intensity and electric potential is first topic, and actually this deals with static electricity. Keep it in mind, these electric fields what we discuss in first unit are static electric fields. So, first of all, what are static fields? Just as the name suggests, when the charge is static, when the charge is stationary, a field around the charge is nothing but static electric field. At the same time, when the charge is moving, then we call it, as you know, current electricity. But the thing is, when charge is moving, along with electric fields, you will get magnetic fields also. So, for static electric field, for static charges you will get only one field, that is electric field. When charge is moving you will get both. So, here itself you got one point, both electric and magnetic fields are not different, they are a resultant of the character of the charge, right. Coming to unit 1, electric field intensity and electric potential. Here we study 2 topics in detail. One is Gauss law and its application. Applications means not in our say day to day applications, where we use Gauss law. Where we use Gauss law? We use Gauss law to calculate electric fields for different geometries, that is the applications. Okay, finally, we may discuss few applications in our day to day life, or say Gauss law is having already applications in mathematics, we will discuss them also. But as per syllabus you must study the applications of Gauss law for some few 2 or 3 symmetries. Symmetry means how charge is distributed, in that sense I am using the word symmetry. So, spherical distribution of charge, or say cylindrical distribution, or a sheet of charge. If you take a sheet of charge, from that sheet, say 5 centimeters from that sheet, what is the electric field you are having there, or electric potential, or whatever may be the case. See, ultimately if you determine one thing regarding the fields, that means if you can calculate electric field intensity, automatically you can calculate potential or flux density or some other thing. Similarly, if you can calculate potential, from potential you can calculate electric field intensity. So, the idea is, after the completion of this unit, you have to know what are electric fields, or you should be thorough with the fields and the calculations, right. then Gauss law and electric potential V. These two we study in electric field intensity and electron. Then second topic here is dielectrics. Second topic is dielectrics. Dielectrics are nothing but insulators. So it is very common practice in science that we use different names for the same material depending on the area of our study or our interest or where we are using. Like dielectrics is nothing but insulator. When we keep this dielectric between the plates of a capacitor or say in core of transformer cores, something like that, what happens? So that we will study. The important thing here is, because of introduction of dielectrics, we have to study electric fields by again categorizing electric fields into three. They are nothing but D field, electric displacement field. It was introduced by Maxwell. We will discuss in detail in unit 3. Then electric field intensity. This is the electric field which you know or which you studied till date. So in your 10th or intermediate, if you come across the word electric field intensity, this is the field. Then again the third one is polarization. So what happens when we keep a dielectric slab? It is influenced by the charge on the plates of the capacitor, something like that. You take a capacitor plate, these are positive charges, these are negative charges. You know that field will be from positive to negative. So when we keep a dielectric in the electric field, what happens on the surface of the dielectric slab? So it gets polarized. That means one face will get one charge and the opposite face will be getting the other charge. What is the mechanism? There are two important mechanisms here. Mechanism means what happens at atomic level. So what happens to the dielectric slab? It at atomic level depends on the type or nature of the atoms or molecules involved in that material. So all those things we will discuss. So dielectrics, here we mainly discuss DEP fields and relations between them. And again at the same time we will introduce some new terms, electric susceptibility, chi to you, right. So this is regarding unit 1. Coming to unit 2. In unit 2 we discuss again two topics. Unit 2 again we discuss two topics, and the first one is electric and magnetic fields. Electric and magnetic fields, or say rather basics of electric and magnetic fields. And the second topic in unit 2, it is very important, electromagnetic induction. I am writing in short form. E means electro, M means magnetic, I means induction. Electromagnetic induction. So first topic is electric and magnetic fields. Sir, in first unit itself we have studied electric fields, but what I say is the view is different. In first unit actually they should have given static electric fields as the heading, but just leave there. So they are something like static fields. Here also we discuss static fields, but as I said, magnetic fields are the resultants, or they appear or they come into picture only when the charge is moving. That is very important. So the basics we study here, electric and magnetic fields. So here some important topics I will give the important topic names. Don't worry, we will discuss later. Biot-Savart's law and its application. So what is Biot-Savart's law? Already I told, magnetic fields can be formed from electric fields or vice versa. That is the final aim in unit 3, right. After Faraday, it is very evident that when magnetic flux changes, electric currents or say induced EMF will be there. So in that sense we will start defining things right from here. The earlier definitions, say before 17th or 16th century or even before 18th century, the definitions used to be somewhat different. At that time, all thought that electric fields are different and magnetic fields are different. Now, after that, we have changed all the definitions, but still, in books, you will get few definitions which are very rigid to the old ideas. So, in the introduction itself, I told here we will discuss keeping electromagnetic induction in view, right. Now, what is Biot-Savart's law? Whenever there is a current carrying wire, magnetic field will be around it. You know the right hand thumb rule. If thumb represents current direction, folded fingers represent magnetic field, or if folded fingers represent current direction, thumb represents. But in general, we study that is a specific case. We can't apply this as it is for different geometries. For that, we study Biot-Savart's law and Ampere's law. Actually, Biot-Savart's law is given in your syllabus. We will just discuss say 10 or 15 minutes about Ampere's law also, because we use Ampere's law again in Maxwell's equations in unit 3. That is why we just discuss here. These are the important things. Then coming to electromagnetic induction, that is the second topic in unit 2. Here we study many small topics, right, from Oersted experiment, right, then Faraday's laws, right. Maybe it is a law, but because it is very famous, in books it is divided into 2 laws. Then say Newman's law, that is also Faraday's law. If for one loop, this is the law. What happens for n loops? Into n we will use. That was first told by Newman, so we call it Newman law. Then in Faraday's law already you might have known, the change in magnetic flux results in induced EMF, but both are opposite. That minus sign, that opposite nature of the fields, field with induction of electric charge, that is electromagnetic induction E, and rate of change of magnetic flux d phi by dt, both are opposite. That nature, that opposite nature is beautifully explained by the famous Lenz. So, we call it Lenz law. Lenz law is also Faraday's law in one sense, but he explained that nature very well, right. Those things we discuss. Then self induction, okay, self induction, again mutual induction, and finally transformer. You all know that transformer plays an important role in distribution of power. Say from Srisailam power station, we have to transfer power right from Srisailam to your house. So, meanwhile, we have to step down or sometimes step up, right, the voltages. For that we need transformer. All those things we will discuss. See what happens, we want power in say 230 volts, but from the generator, say Srisailam Hydel Power Project, to our house in Bhimavaram, if we transport the power at 230 volts only, we do not get anything here. So, transmission losses or heat losses will be very high. So, for that what they will do? They will step up the voltage, say in lakhs sometimes. Then again at the same time, after getting the power, we can't use it as it is because it is very high voltage. So, again the transformers which are or say the substations in each mandal or village, in the village entrance you will see all the substations. There you will read 33 kV substation or 11 kV. So, depending on the load of the area, maybe that if it is a residential area, okay. If some factories, industries are there, then they will use some different voltages. These all we will discuss here. But anyhow, that step up, step down, all these things can be done by transformer. So, electromagnetic induction plays very important role in our day to day life. the latest applications, the wireless charging, wireless charger is nothing but electromagnetic induction. The charging pad is primary and the secondary will be in your cell phone or in your kitchen induction cookers. What they say, you have to use only all items you can't use. Items means all utensils you can't use. Those only having at least bottom steel, you have to keep that. Why? Because in induction cooker you will have primary coil, magnetic field will be transferred to the say milk or water, whatever may be there in the utensil, only when say ferromagnetic material is there like steel. Okay, all these applications, and electromagnetic induction is very important because even in Large Hadron Collider, famously known as Big Bang experiments in Switzerland, that what we call CERN, European Center for Nuclear Research, there also we use electromagnetic induction. Basic principle is electromagnetic induction, right. So, this is for unit 2. Then you will we will see third unit. Third unit, again it is divided into two. First is alternating current. They gave the name as alternating current and electromagnetic waves, but I do not know, the entire syllabus is only alternating current. Electromagnetic waves are not mentioned here, but anyway electromagnetic waves can be discussed in the next topic, that is Maxwell's equations, right. Alternating current and Maxwell's equations are the two topics in unit 3, but just for 1 minute I will keep it aside and we will discuss this one, Maxwell's equation. These are the something like conclusion for the first 2 units. What you have studied in the first 2 units, that means electric and magnetic fields and different phenomena involved in electric and magnetic fields. The entire thing is brought under one beautiful theory, electromagnetic induction or electromagnetic theory, and we call now it as classical electrodynamics, because later again after Maxwell's unification, again electromagnetic induction is, the theory is not sufficient. So, see, at Maxwell's time it is okay, he is in maybe around 1850 or something like that, but later as we come across new technologies, as we know new things from nature, what happens, new problems will be, definitely there will be new problems to be solved, and the electromagnetic theory which is already proposed by Maxwell's equations is not sufficient. Then the theory introduced is QED, quantum electrodynamics. Till date this is the best theory which explains all electromagnetic forces say issues. Anything regarding electromagnetic force can be explained now by quantum electrodynamics to a large extent. Now also there are some unexplained things, but they are relatively very small, and the QED is mainly contribution of Feynman, American scientist Feynman, who is a very popular one even in India. So, Richard Feynman's theory QED is not in our syllabus, okay, keep it in mind, right. But before Feynman, this is the theory put forward by Maxwell. So, what is Maxwell's equations or what is Maxwell's electromagnetic theory? Nothing but he clubbed all the available equations at that time, say a dozen equations nearly. But now after some mathematical reshuffle, say mathematical filtering and all, what happened, now everyone give Maxwell's equations as only 4, because the remaining equations are not independent equations, they can be derived from the 4 equations which we consider. All the 4 equations are nothing but two equations are due to Gauss, okay, Gauss law, integral or the flux around any closed surface is given by the mathematician Gauss. According to him, integral E dot ds is the electric flux over any closed surface, and integral B dot ds is magnetic flux. Integral E dot ds is nothing but 1 by epsilon naught times charge enclosed in the surface, and magnetic flux for a closed surface is 0. So, these two laws are given by Gauss, and the third one is Faraday's law, and the fourth one is Ampere's law. So, you may wonder why all the credit is given to Maxwell, because these are Gauss laws, Ampere's law, Faraday's law. The thing here is they gave beautiful equations, they have explained, but they have limited entire thing to a particular area. Suppose Faraday's law is limited to only what happens to the charges when magnetic flux is changed. What happens in any closed circuit when magnetic flux is changed, induced EMF will be there, current will flow, right. So, only to that point he limited. Then similarly Ampere, similarly Gauss. But what Maxwell did is, he is one of the greatest minds of human, I can say like that, the greatest minds of human race. Maxwell, he is one of the finest person, because after Newton, he is the only second person till date who unified the forces, right, 2 or 3 forces under same theory. So, he brought then different theories, he brought electric field, magnetic field and light. All these 3 he brought it under same force, that is electromagnetic force. Earlier people thought they are 3 different forces, right. That is a greatest contribution. Okay. After that also some small unification is there for that matter. Say, now you all know that there are 4 basic forces in physics. We study like that, but already scientists feel that electromagnetic force and weak forces can be united, right. So, now some people call 3 basic forces natural forces, but anyhow some argument is going on, but anyhow Maxwell's unification is again after Newton, he is the only person who successfully united different forces. So, in that sense this is very important. Then coming to alternating current. So, what is first of all DC current? Chemistry people you know better, or the currents which you study till date are direct currents, where actual chemical reaction will be there, anions, cations will be separated, they flow to respective anodes, right. All that will not be there in generation of AC. According to Faraday, what is AC? When magnetic flux changes, it is or it results in current. So, here no chemical reaction, no separation of charges, nothing. What happens here is, in the closed circuit, in the closed loop, the charges actually what is the material we use here is metal, you all know that. So, metals will have like say that good phrase, ocean of electrons. So, they are ready, right, even for small motivational force they will form into a current. So, here also the same thing happens because of the change in magnetic flux, right, that is equal to motive force that motivates charges to flow. That is why we call electromotive force or induced electromotive force. So, that is AC. Now, we study all the basics of alternating current. So direct current means, so if you draw a graph between time and voltage or x-axis and y-axis, this straight line gives a, or this graph is for direct current. For alternating current, you know that in any graph this will be taken as positive and this will be taken as negative. Say voltage versus time, you will get a, see what happens from here to here, current is in one direction. Okay, from here to here this is another direction, or practically you take 2 points. In DC what happens, current will say it is a positive and it is negative. Current always flows in this direction only, from positive to negative. For AC what happens, here we do not call it as positive negative, say we call say phase and neutral. What happens, from here to here current flows for very short time, then again from here to here, then again to here to, so the direction alternates. So if it alters 50 times, we call 50 Hz current, which we use in our country, or say in USA they use 60 Hz current. So there per each second the current direction will be changed 60 times, right. In our say AP Transco gives us 50 Hz frequency. So this waveform, we study the entire natures, what is RMS value, what is peak to peak value, relation between them, what is power factor. Say in DC power is voltage into current, but because of nature of this wave, here we will get power is voltage into current into some other factor cos phi, okay, power factor we call. Then same the thing which you studied in first year mechanical waves, what happens at resonance, right, what is quality factor, logarithmic decrement, all those things again we study here. The only difference is there we study for mechanical waves, here we study for this electric signals, that is the only difference. So this is a overall view of unit 3. Again finally coming to the last part, that is electronics. Electronics is divided into 2, say unit 4 and unit 5. So unit 4 we call it basic electronics, or say basics of analog electronics, and here we will introduce you to digital electronics. So analog electronics already you know, the same thing which you have studied in inter, with that only we start, that is nothing but PN diode, okay, and GNR diode, VI characteristics of PN diode, GNR diode, what is avalanche, how or what happens at the junction, why we call it as a potential barrier or depletion layer, all those things we will see here. But the thing is, they could have given at least 1 or 2 topics related to semiconductors and its crystalline nature, or its what we say density of states, what happens to the discrete energy levels. Say for each atom and or say molecule, we may take individual states, energy states 1s2, 2s2, something like that. But as a lump of matter in semiconductor or a solid of matter, when we consider, we should not take it as discrete energy levels, we should take them as bands, because all the energy levels are so closely packed that we see practically a band nature for energy. All those things are not given in your syllabus, but we will discuss at least say 1 hour, because it is very important and we have to discuss. 1 hour or 2 hours I will take before the introduction of basic electronics. I will take classes say on semiconductor or nature of semiconductors. Then we study transistors. Here we study only CB, CC and CE configurations and their gains, output current by input current, alpha, beta, gamma, all those three things, alpha, beta, gamma we will study, and only one application, that is transistor as an amplifier. That is a very small chapter, and maybe 50 to 60% already you have studied in your inter. So, it will be very easy for you. Now, definitely it is going to be very easy, and even if you concentrate on unit 4 and unit 5 and first unit, it is very easy to pass. All those things we will discuss at the end of the semester. Before that, you should study everything by giving equal importance to everything. At examination point of examination time, again we will discuss what to study and what to leave depending on. So, see, if you want to get a O grade, right, or if you are having better knowledge in mathematics, you study everything, okay, you do not leave it. Or coming to the slow learners, maybe if they are somewhat weak at mathematics. So, the mathematics what we need here is only basic mathematics, some trigonometry and say very elementary integration and differentiation. But still, if you feel say this derivation is very lengthy, sir, or if you feel something like that, we will discuss what to study and what to leave according to your interest. We will discuss at the end, right. Then unit 5, it is for digital electronics. Here we start with number systems. Number systems mean octal, decimal and binary and hexadecimal, 4 number systems we study. Decimal is we use in our day to day life, octal number system. Then the two most important things for digital communications are, as you know, binary number system with basis 2. That means you will have only 2 codes here, 0 and 1. Then why we need hexadecimal is, binaries is exactly suitable for digital communication, signal processing, no doubt. But because we are using binary numbers, sometimes the string length will be very say too lengthy. So, transferring data with that length may be laborious process sometimes. So, what they will use? They will use hexadecimal number system, they will compress, right, and they will transport. So, for that purpose this is very useful, hexadecimal number system. So, how we convert one number to the other, and say in binary basic arithmetic, addition, subtraction, something like that, and in some subtraction, the subtraction which we use here in decimal number system we call borrow method, but that is not suitable for design of electronic circuits. So, here again for subtraction we use 1's complement, 2's complement method. Then most importantly you have to know some Boolean algebra here, okay. So, it is also something like it is very easy once you know the algebra, associative law, distributive law, all those things, right, commutative law. What are the changes we will discuss, right. So, after studying the Boolean algebra, we will go to basic circuits in digital electronics, right from AND gate or say OR gate, okay, and most importantly NAND and NOR gate. These two are called universal gates, because any other logic can be made using the combination of these gates. So, in actual chip design also companies will use either a NAND entire NAND gate type of circuit or NOR gate, something like that. They do not use all the basic gates. The nature they will use, but physically they will use only NAND and NOR gates. So, we call them universal gates. Then only 2 applications we are having here. One is half adder and the other one is full adder. What is half adder, what is full adder, all those things we will study later. Right? Don't think that it is actually a half edition or full edition, don't think like that. Why we call half edition, full edition, all those things we will discuss later. The main purpose is here, I want to give you the entire view, just what is the syllabus, okay, what is the main aspects, where you have to concentrate. Suppose if you are good at electronics, then these two will be easy for you, then you have to concentrate here. Or if you are good in electric and magnetic fields, but you lag a little bit in electronics, then you have to concentrate here. So, like that the entire syllabus you have to know before going to the actual discussion. In that sense, I think I have introduced you to 5th semester electricity, magnetism and electronics. I hope it is this demo will be enough as an introductory lecture, and feel free to give feedback regarding anything, regarding my voice or my explanation part, or say lighting, anything. Please give feedback, we will rectify in next coming videos, right. Anyway, keep it in mind, this will be going to be the nature of our lectures, right. On regular basis we will post the links, and please go through the videos slowly. If you do not understand, pause there, again have a look. So, if you get any doubt, you write it on paper, right, because we are having online lectures, you do not have that immediate raising of doubt. So, in class you can, when we explain, somebody will raise a doubt, but here that option will be lost. So, you again thoroughly see a entire video, doubts you note down. Next on maybe in Zoom or WhatsApp video calls we can discuss your doubts. Okay. Thank you for your patient listening. Okay. This is all for me, from my side, for this lecture. Thank you.